Yes, I did. Awesome. Awesome. This is beautiful, Dean. Dean, I think we should just have a party here, isn't it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just wait for you to come on. Well, thank you so much for joining. And here I'm at with Mr. Dean OKAI, Road CEO of the Solution Room. I was going to say, Dean, should we apologize for the lateness? But actually, it's been time, isn't it?
I apologize for the lateness. I just finished a previous meeting with one of the delivery partners,
Yes.
Vanessa McLean from Black CEO London.
Yes, yes.
Another
yes.
CEO whose intellectual capital is going to be invaluable with
Yes.
the Road CEO project.
Yes, yes.
So, contrary to what people may believe, there's plenty of sisters involved in the project as well.
Yes.
It's literally an equal balance. However, because it is being delivered to young men and young men from the road, I do want a particular visibility on the brothers that are delivering the project. The same brothers that everybody says aren't playing their role in our community.
Yes, yes.
Now, when you know who they are and you know that they're playing their role, it's very frustrating to hear on such a regular basis.
Yes.
Because these are my peers. And quite literally, all of the gentlemen around me are just like me and doing exactly the things that I'm doing.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I think we are so comfortable repeating a particular rhetoric that it just we've done it for perpetuity. We've undermined the role of men within our community.
Yes.
Successful men have become very silent and become invisible, largely because they start to develop a particular fear about money and who may come after them for what particular reasons, to be friends, to be romantic, or whatever else the case may be.
Yes.
But there is a secret economy within our community of successful brothers who are playing their role, who are fathers to their children, who play the role of fathers to other children and young men within the community, who are mentoring formally and informally.
Okay, good.
So there are peers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just started. We are live streaming also on YouTube, which is at SylbourneTV. If you test it out with me, be one of the first one to go over there on YouTube. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Let's talk straight on the late one with Sylbourne, but we're not late today. We're early. We're at 4 o'clock. We're in the day. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I always talk about as much as possible is being able to take control of your destiny, take control of your future. I see no obstacles in the way of success, as Dean will say. I see no reasons why the word can't. You know, Dean, my first time my son said can't was when he came back from school. Because I always say, you can, yes you can. The whole advent of Barack Obama and everything like that, you can. He came back from school one day and said, I can't. Right? And ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons why I wanted Dean to come on, and Dean and I have been talking for a while and said, let's get together and have a gel, is because there is a breakthrough with the Solution Room. And but what I'd like you to do as well, ladies and gentlemen, is to share this video, actually invite some people on, and I'd love to hear your comments as well, because we'll be responding to them beyond this. So stay with us for the next hour. Dean, welcome.
Finally, glad to be here. After what must be a year.
After what must be a year. And you know, the thing about it is that while I'm not directly engaging, I'm directly engaging because it's like I'm LinkedIn, but not LinkedIn, but still LinkedIn. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So Dean, tell us now. Tell us about the Solution. Tell about yourself, because this is your platform here now, and as we have this discourse,
Well,
sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you can hear me very clearly. I just want to make sure of that. Let me know if you can hear. Nana, good evening. Iola, just send us a little message if you can hear very clearly as much as possible. Good. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. So you're saying now.
Yeah. So the Solution Room is quite literally a platform for solutions.
Yes.
So we're not there to talk about problems. We're not there to talk about who we're boycotting. We're not there to talk about the long list of nots or what we don't want to do. I'll speak to people frequently and I'll say, know what you want to do and have clarity about it.
Yes.
So what the Solution Room is there for is a community of influencers.
Yes.
Where we have a clear agenda through the think tank.
Yes.
To influence.
Yes.
So when you're in a position to influence influencers, you need to be sharpening your pencil every day.
Yes.
So we've got a raft of projects which go from the Anansi Village Trust, which is a trust to purchase commercial freehold properties,
Yes.
to convert into schools, chambers of commerce and community centres. So you have a team around that. But what I find now is that these teams start to merge. So going across the creation of a financial institution, going across the Anansi Village Trust, down to the Black CEO, there's a core of people within our community who are highly active, highly connected, highly focused, and highly skilled.
Yes.
The intellectual capital they bring to the table closes all knowledge and skills gaps. So what we find is there's a set of usual suspects who will come out, rain, sleet or snow, to deliver on behalf of us.
Yes.
And then the whole point of the Solution Room community is to influence 1,400 influencers.
Yes.
Because culture is top down, not bottom up.
Yes.
Now, after you've heard such a long list of we can't and we won't and who we should boycott, what those 1,400 do is like a Lego base, plug us into everybody who can, who wants to, who will. So initially, it's those of a similar ilk, because birds of a feather flock together, right?
Yes, yes.
And then after you've got those who are of a particular ilk, they have a profession. So now once you engage professionals, you know something can be done based on proficiency.
Yes.
So if you have legal matters, you're dealing with solicitors. If you have finance matters, you're dealing with finance experts and bankers.
Yes.
If you're dealing with the construction industry, you're dealing with property developers, mortgage brokers, and people of this nature.
Yes.
So what it has become is a cabal of expertise to execute a raft of infrastructure projects that in around 18 months will be several solid institutions which we have never seen at any point. And there's a question that I've been asked frequently, you should ask me, why has it never been done?
Well, you know, I'm going to ask you, why has it never been done?
That's an excellent question. You see, we have never been.
And let's break down the
please.
we. Who is the we?
African Caribbean.
Okay. Right.
If you're a melanated African, you are we.
Yes.
If you are anybody else, you are not.
You mean who?
Yeah. So every people uniquely understand this.
Yes.
And what we do, we recognize ourselves as the BAM community because there's some shrapnel being thrown about by local authorities. I promise you, family, it is shrapnel. You will dance to the music, and then when they turn off the lights until you come out of the establishment, there's no cab office to take you home. You are near nothing, and you have no solutions yourself. You're going to be out in the cold with very little clothing and no clue. So once you understand that, you do what every other community does when they come to the BAM table, is they come as a contingent who is strong, who has financially organized. So all of the businesses, the chambers of commerce, have put money behind all of the candidates in all of the parties. So Tower Hamlets, for instance, would have a Bangladesh candidate for Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, and as an independent. Because you know, if that isn't a candidate, they're not going to be voted in based on numerics. Now, once the businesses come behind that candidate, it's a sure thing. Because they're teaching the community how to vote as a bloc.
And how to be very strategic.
And how to be strategic. So then, if you go across the board with your community's representation in all the parties, you know that your issues are going to be served. But here's the trick. There's no such thing as a river without banks, right? Okay. So now if you are Labour, Lib Dem or Conservative, you are restricted by party policy, right?
And towing the line.
and towing the line. Now, if you're an independent, does that apply?
That's a free reign.
That's a free reign.
Yes.
So once we understand the political landscape, we need to understand the nature of fielding independence to get in with an agenda, obviously to serve the entire borough,
Yeah.
but with a particular emphasis on us,
Yeah.
which you will see if you go to Southall, which you will see if you go to Hampstead, this or Tottenham. These are natural things.
And of course in Leicester.
Yes.
But at the same time, they are also linked with still the same mainstream parties like Leicester to a certain extent.
Yes. Now, what you've got to remember is the level of economics and consistency. Let's not even talk about economics. Let's talk about your team and the consistency of fielding a campaign that is going to be successful.
Yes.
You must appeal to the general base, or at least not offend the general base.
Yes.
You must appeal directly to your core base.
Yes.
But that's only how Donald Trump got in, even though he bullied his way through the election.
But he studied the figures and he actually
Absolutely. And he applied to the lowest common denominator.
Yes.
Now, once you understand that and you have a very consistent team putting out a consistent message, you know that you can always win.
Yes.
So the power is in the knowledge of knowing that you can win. So once your party, underwritten by your business community, know that you can win, is something that is worth executing, right?
Yeah.
Now, when everybody gets behind it, you are going to appeal to your base, which is your racial demographic, keenly, and then what do? The resources start to filter down to your base, to establish institutions that after you've left will remain.
So therefore, the question goes back again to you, which is, why something, well, it does happen in other communities, but what has been the lackluster or the gap within the black community why something like this hasn't happened before? I think the closest was Black Wall Street.
Yes.
If anything. But what has been...
I'll do one thing I want to say today.
Yeah.
I would love to focus on UK examples.
UK, yeah.
Because US has been so successful, they have a very different history. So even though we have gone through the equal slavery coming from the Caribbean,
Yes.
so this is not to include the migrants who came from the African continent directly, because they came with a different agenda, which was a correct agenda, which was the accumulation of wealth and education, and combining those to have a coherent community. So when you look at Nigerian community, whether it is Muslim or whether it is Christian, it's coherent because we know, like the temple, businesses down there, and that you have a cultural tie. So when you land, we're all tied by necessity.
And they felt need.
And yes, but you did ask one question, and the question was, what has stopped us from uniquely doing this? So let's deal with the Caribbean immigration first of all. We have a very unique history in that we were slaves, and people talk about slavery being finished hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
However, what we do know is that the undercurrent of keeping us in our position, keeping us subjugated, keeping us inculcated with nonsense that would not enable us, I should say, to come together, has been a constant.
And remains.
And remains. So if I were to compare it to something, if you look at the biblical story, take a biblical story, the Tower of Babel, where man was building a tower to heaven, and they got so close, and as the story goes, God boxed down the tower, and when man landed on the ground, he gave them many languages, and they were confused, which we derive the term Babylon. Babbling.
Okay.
From.
Yes.
So what we have been doing for many a generation is babbling.
Yes.
We're babbling. We come in a room and we speak in different languages.
Yes, yes.
You are a Christian, you are Nubian, you are a Nubian, you are a Kemite, you are an African, you are a Jamaican. So we have so many separations. We don't actually see that within this system, we are just melanated Africans who are international Africans. And that is how we are seen, otherwise known as IC3s,
Yes.
by the state. They don't care. We care more about our differences than they do. Now, if I were to line up a Nubian, a Christian, a Hebrew Israelite, and all of the rest, some will call themselves black, which is nothing. Some will call them Africans, Jamaicans, or whatever nation islands. And the policeman says, "Coon, step forward." Now there's 20 people.
Yes.
If they were armed, I believe all 20 would step forward.
Yes.
When one is aware of this position, you see that we must now create some kind of cultural cohesion
And some synergy.
and forget about our boat stops and create community based on the fact that we are global melanated Africans.
But also, while the black, the melanated, the whatever, who's standing right there, and actually have their differences, the police is actually seeing all persons as black.
Absolutely.
So therefore, that means to say that is what should we say, a key point to be captured. To say, hang on a second, if they're seeing us as one, can you imagine if we're really
One. Absolutely.
It's powerful, ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
very powerful.
Yes.
So I think what I initially wanted to do was write a manifesto. Bam. However,
Yeah, what the manifesto has been written, isn't it?
there are many components,
That's right.
and I have had many black prints, which add up to one black print.
Yes.
However, what I have realized is that you must drip information because you can create an information overload.
Yes.
And then people think you're crazy.
Yeah.
So what my position is as the chairman of the Solution Room
Yes.
is a project manager. It happens that there are 6 projects in front of me with personnel who have expertise to execute those projects. Now, I sharpen my pencil literally every day, and I'm being educated by my peers in many areas, which just means that you can't pull the wool over my eyes or hoodwink me because I'm a voracious reader, and I'm a voracious, I have a voracious appetite for knowledge.
Yes.
Now, if you came out and said from A to Z, this is what it is, you sound crazy. I'd sound like the young lady from Coming to America. I'm a rapping actress who dances and sings, who wants to be a producer, writer. No. They are unique projects, which are infrastructure projects, not organizations. Now, the difference between an organization, you might have a partner and give it a name, which is an organization. And then when you create a banking facility where we can transfer money internationally, we have insurance within there, we have all of those commercial areas that a bank covers. Now that is an institution. When you have an educational curriculum which can be delivered in all of the buildings that you purchase, that is an institution. When you have chambers of commerce that go across every stronghold borough, and it might be an African Economic Society, because then it is national, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is an institution. Now, all these organizations plug into that, and they feed all of these organizations because they're a resource for all of these organizations. But they create a particular kind of coherence which works for the community.
Yes. And so when you talk about the different, and you mentioned 6.
Yes, sir.
What are those 6 key areas that you're focusing on with the solution?
Yes, sir. Economics.
Yes.
Education.
Yes.
Security. Which I won't go into too much.
That's all right, yeah.
But if you have an economic institution and you don't have security, you are setting yourself up for a fall.
Okay.
Property acquisition.
Yeah.
Political representation, which is key, we always miss out on, and holistic health as well.
Right.
Now, please go ahead.
No, keep talking. You're there with 6 here, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, with the 60, and if we pick up on property acquisition,
yes,
because that's one of the key factors. Even the McDonald's realize that the success of their business is not
the underlined in property,
but it is in property. And you notice what you said very clearly, ladies and gentlemen, is that the solution room, you focus on having a property.
One or three.
One or one or three, and these properties are tangible.
Yes,
right. Then you also talk about the political dynamics again. But with the political dynamics, are you saying, are you implying that all the political allegiance or leaning should be of one particular irk, or should it be split according to the mainstream, or we're looking at independence?
Let's not speak of mainstream. You see, unfortunately, when we speak of mainstream, what we usually mean is European, right? If we're quite honest about it. So let's be frank about it, because we're family. So if we're speaking about Europeans, let's differentiate. And then you speak on the other side about Africans. Just like in Tower Hamlets, nobody has a problem talking about Asian needs, wants and desires.
Because they are the majority and they control that zone.
So let's be frank. Let's speak as men. Because what I do know about you is you're a man. And you have particular conviction.
Yes.
Fine.
Straight up, man.
So let's not be scared about our convictions. So when I speak of us, I speak of African Caribbeans. So that is both respectively. For anybody who says I may be neither. If you are black, you are African Caribbean. Let's leave it at that term for the UK. Now, you said something about political leanings. If you have within your borough a financial institution where everybody can have an account, which is digital, but you still have a physical building where you can visit to alleviate any concerns, deal with customer services and all the other raft of things that come off the back of banking. Schools, plural, for your children, which went from nursery to industry, where when your child reaches 11 years old, they will be fielded a mentor from the local chambers of commerce who has been DBS checked to work with your child to give them a realistic entry point into their career, which is the Diamond Enterprise curriculum created by Kay Johnston, who I'm sure you're aware of, which is Windows 7 of the educational curriculum that will be informed by professional educators to become Windows 8, Windows 9, Windows 10. And a major part of that is rites of passage that it provides for young people, which is what we will call citizenship. Because we can see that there are no citizenship skills when school lets out, and you'll see 100 children rushing for a bus, pushing prams out of the way, leaving chicken boxes and food on public transport. So then the third is a community centre that would be a private members club and have a raft of cultural events over the course of 12 months that serve the entire African Caribbean community. Now, if they each have their own executive, and that executive has a strategic meeting every month based on what the community needs, they're going to go out and get it. So come the time of local election, an independent candidate comes forward. That independent candidate may be sponsored to give a talk within the chambers of commerce. The people say, I like what they're about. They fall in line with our ethics and morals and desires for the community. And then what happens? They're endorsed by the business community. They stand next to them, they pay for their messages. Then they're introduced to the community centres so that people are taught to vote as a block, knowing that their interests are going to be served. It's a very powerful commodity. So it has made a hell of a lot of sense to have us down here on the ground after our boxes were cast down, babbling, not speaking the same language, right? Hell of a lot of sense.
I still want to dig straight into the same point, though, in regards to the solution as a strategic element, a strategic, profound. I call it, and before they talk about the transformation of the Black Power.
Absolutely.
And I see them intrinsically linked.
Absolutely, of course.
Political and economics intrinsically linked. What about the infiltration of the parties? We're not going to say mainstream. We say the parties. So therefore, so therefore, you have a set of persons who are leaning, black persons involved in the solution room.
Absolutely.
There are in labor, black persons leaning in the solution room, understand the dynamics of us pulling together.
Yes.
In liberal then, and of course conservative as well.
Yes.
Right. Is that something to encourage?
Well, let me say this. I wouldn't use the term encourage.
Yeah.
But if you come into my house,
Yeah.
you don't tell me if you're going to keep your shoes on by the time you land in my living room. I tell you.
Yeah.
So when you come to our chambers of commerce to present your case to the business people who now actually are a community based on that they belong to a private members club and they dine and they entertain regularly and are aware of each other and do business to business together.
Yeah.
You really think you're going to come in that living room and tell me you're keeping your shoes on if you take off your shoes? What we are as a people without criteria. Where is our criteria being as a people? Because you could just come in anyhow and tell us you're going to do anything, put your label on it, and we say we've been endorsed by them. So what done? As a businessman, let me ask you a question. What's in it for me?
Yes.
So now as a community who've been informed and educated and are now aware of the bodies and personalities and energies and skills within the community, what's in it for us? So now you're no longer coming in telling us how it's going to be. Like when you see the politicians in the States go and grovel to APAC because they made themselves a very powerful lobby based on the business people and very powerful people within the community. These are the type of organizations and institutions that we're talking about creating.
Someone just said a while ago is this sounds quite corporate and complex. How does the average mind comprehend how this improves their child chances?
Their child's chances.
Yes.
Okay. So when they set up an academy which has 1,000 children, I call them animal factories. I don't think they're educational institutes. And there's no interpersonal because there's far too many students. You have no place in that. So don't kid yourself. You have no place. Corporates come together and they work with, by and large, they will have been given a knighthood. They work with the local authority. They're given the planning permission and they create an academy. You send your child there and you ask nothing. You have no criteria. You're glad that they're in an educational institute, or as I call them, indoctrination institutes, because education works for you and indoctrination works for somebody else. We aren't taught to be leaders of industry. We are taught to serve. So the funny thing that I usually find is when it comes to black people offering solutions, we get one set of criteria up there. And you see, when Europeans come and they say, well, look, there's only one school your child is going to, that's it. There's 1,000 students. Yes, somebody got stabbed next year. There's a blue blazer. You know what color the child's blazer is? Yeah, clue. It's blue. So, when I thought about the solution as a businessman, I said, I want to speak to people and bring business principles to our people, so that all these people here are now in the business of black people. And I find us fortunate to be in the business of black people, because previously we've been in the emotion of black people. Now, emotions don't serve us in terms of creating solutions. We're talking about tangible solutions now. Not when a pastor-like character comes into your community center and my comparative is Facebook likes you. That can't.
So Dean, I think the essence of it is about establishing a profound, I would say the word foundation, a solid foundation, something which is lacking for years within the black community. Let's forget about USA, forget about all those things, and just talk about us here, putting together, working together strategically. And of course, we spoke about the fact that you have those who are the naysayers. And of course, you say they are the others.
Shall I give you a case scenario?
Please.
Naysayers. And some of the viewers may have heard this before. there's a satellite above our heads, and it's 2 miles above us.
Yes.
You cannot see it, you cannot hear it, you have no comprehension of this satellite.
Yes.
It can see you, it can hear you. If special forces painted you up with a laser, a Hellfire rocket will cancel your contract in 30 seconds. You jump 10 foot in the air into 30 pieces, right?
Yes, yes.
Now I want you to think about the ilk of people in this room that put that satellite 2 miles into the sky. So you have engineers and you have mathematicians.
Yes.
So you knock on this door. What's the project? Up we go. A satellite 2 miles into the sky that can see people and hear them. They will have no comprehension.
Yes.
It can't be done. Well,
Yes.
close the door. Now, if you're a mathematician or an engineer that says it can't be done, you're not qualified.
Yes.
So the only people in the room are the people of a similar ilk who ask, how can this be done? How can we improve the sums? How can we more streamline the rocket so that it lasts? Now, all of those questions will come to a logical conclusion that will lead to a launch, the satellite being in the air with a lens that can see and microphone equipment that can hear, because it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say the people who are around me are of a similar ilk. So when we are told it can't be done,
Yes.
the few teams have acquired the same nod.
Yes.
I call it the Jay-Z nod.
Yes.
And you know what you just told us?
Yeah.
You're not qualified. And you're not the ilk of person that we're looking for.
And you know what? It's also something very profound, because I always say when someone says it can't be done, I always say to them, I agree, it can't be done for you.
Or by you.
Or
Let's
by
just
you.
leave it at
Let's
that.
leave it like that, because therefore you have not got the vision, you've got the foresight,
Absolutely.
so therefore, no problem, that's it.
However, there's one thing I will say in that. I don't necessarily write people off, because there are particular characters
Yes.
who will come in your room and be absolutely cancerous.
Yes.
And they're people who every 5 minutes will ask a question and disrupt. Then there are people who haven't quite come to the position, and there's plenty of room for them to sharpen their pencil, to be given mentors,
Yes.
to improve their position, and they may be ready in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, or a year's time.
Yes.
So it is learning to differentiate, and for me, a lot of it is based on spirit.
Yes.
And when we say that funny thing, my spirit don't take to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know the characters.
But we know
immediately.
We know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a Jamaican background, so boy, I'm a spirit not take your style, you know. But as Amari said something there, we need our own government.
Yes.
We're being systematically oppressed.
Yes.
For centuries. How much more evidence do we need that their system isn't designed for us to succeed? Now, something powerful what Amari said right
Absolutely.
there is how much more evidence do we need? And there are many times, sometimes, something is to be created or something to be done. I would say, what's research? I don't even know what research is.
Never need any more research.
That's it, it's done. You know it.
You see, look, based on historical reference points,
Yes.
what is science?
Yes.
Science is a number of experiments based on historical reference points.
Yeah.
So if you took 100 petri dishes over 100 days and put them in particular conditions, you will learn very quickly which was beneficial for the germ to grow and which one wasn't. So over the course of a 500-year relationship,
Yes.
we are well aware who, where, and why the what doesn't work for us.
Yes.
So we can remain under an illusion that faith would give us, because some men would seek to sell you hope.
Yes.
So in selling me hope, I would ask you a question. Well, this is a scientific thing. What? So which government agency or private agency measure the outcomes of hope? So if it's none, please don't sell me hope, because I'm not 6 years old, I'm a grown man. So based on my historical reference points that I'm now observing, I know there's no more merit in me approaching you.
Yes.
We establish our own.
Yes.
Now, because we have infiltrated every area of society, we're in banking, we're in law, we have advocates, we're in construction, we're in education, I merely need to call my community with common technology that we're blessed to have, and that means the whole landscape has been democratized. Now, based on the democratization of that landscape, I use another equal opportunity that we all have.
Yes.
We're all democratized with the same 24 hours, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's merely how effectively we use those 24 hours. Because a millionaire uses them different from me, and a billionaire uses them different from him.
Yes.
So once we start to learn the principles, which is why I say I apply business principles to us, because I came in the business of black people. I feel we would fare better under business principles than under religious principles or emotional principles or any other kind of pseudo principles that won't take us forward.
Well, I think what you're saying there also is that the economic and the business aspect is like the core foundation for anything as much as possible. Because even that political person that wants to step in, and I believe there's support behind a particular candidate, even illusionary, you want that person to be able to flow properly and not worried about his bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Not worried about anything, because that's what the mainstream does.
Yes.
They go behind and they secure their person.
Absolutely.
And they have nothing to worry about because they're covered.
And even that's been in education.
Yes.
In terms of some of the feedback, because you have to really, number one, understand the people.
Yes.
Our people.
Yes.
And what they are bringing to the table in terms of a new criteria that they would not ask of others.
Yes.
Because I remember when we all went and voted for Tony Blair, we voted because we wanted somebody else out. The criteria.
Yeah.
Now,
get it on.
For ourselves, we developed a wholly new criteria where I believe the election would have gone past, and we said, we couldn't support him now.
but the key thing is this, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, is that you always say you vote for the government, you get the government in. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. I'm with Dean Accord, the chair of the Solution Room. What we're doing, we're setting the stage of the Solution Room because there has been some other factors which has come out of it. And Dean, we can talk a lot about the Solution Room, but it's a core foundation, which we have sort of set the stage. The Road CEO, because this is what we said. We have been speaking about postcode wars for some time and seem to have catapulted to the fact that we have lost control for young men. Someone said earlier a while ago, speaking doesn't stop stabbing.
No, it doesn't.
So therefore, let's break down now the Solution Room. No.
Road CEO.
Road CEO, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm qualified to speak on the Road CEO.
Yes.
Because I was that young man.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm drinking because I have something I choked. Dean has his punch, so don't think that I'm not allowing Dean to drink. Yes. Good.
So, I went to school in New Cross. When my parents divorced, I moved to Kennington, Ethelred Estate. We moved from one council flat to another. And I continued to go to school in New Cross. You see children now, they're wrapped in cotton wool, but when I was 12 years old, I was taking my brother and sister across 3 boroughs to take them to school. My younger brother and sister. And when I turned 18, I moved out of my mother's flat because I have hard ears. I would be with friends in North Peckham Estate every day. And I carried a knife. I always wanted to be a businessman. And I sold pirate videos and adult videos. And to protect my business, I carried a knife or some weapon at all times. So now we are talking about young men who are bigger targets because their business is more profitable. Which they also did at the time, which is coke, heroin, pills, meth, or whatever the case may be that they're dealing, or spice. So those young men keenly have hard ears like me. They have been dejected by the educational system, which has told them they're not capable of doing anything better. They're not capable of having the initial careers they desired, as Malcolm Little was told at 7 years old, before he went on to be a robber, a pimp and a steerer, and a heroin addict before going to jail. and becoming the most sophisticated orator I've ever seen in my life, based on the fact that he was given information, more choices. So I hear people all the time, the way they talk about young guys, they can't read, they can't write, they can't add up.
Yeah.
They have no idea who these guys are. I speak with them every day in my business. I see them shutting on the road. Somalian young men who were murdered. I knew them. I've sold them on prom suits. I've seen them grow. I've seen them turn into shotters. I've seen them go to jail. I've seen one father who came in last year for a pair of trousers for the younger brother who had been murdered, Somalian young man. He was buried on his 21st birthday. 3 years earlier, I had sold him an outfit for his 18th birthday. He was selling drugs then. His younger brother was murdered 3 weeks ago.
Right.
His dad looked at me, you know, he said to me, these things happen. And I could see his hollow. I was in the shop by myself, you know what I did? I went in the toilet and I cried. Because I have a son. First thing I know this young man since he's about 13. He's 21. I cried. And I cleaned up myself and I came back on my shop floor. And then I was off. I was actually doing homeschool with Dean OKAI Jr., my son.
Yeah.
And I started to see these reports. There were 2 stabbings in Camden.
Yeah.
And there were Somalian young men. So I knew them because I know all of them.
Yes.
By face. And it was his second son.
Yes.
Who is dead. Now I speak to these young men so I know what they want. They want an income. They want to provide like all of us. They believe this one is accessible. Don't take for granted that the road actually offers a family environment as well.
Yes.
Because that's what it did for me. You have characters who like a father, like an older brother. You have a Gino all the time. And it's very attractive company to be within.
Yes.
And you learn to circumnavigate the waters, or you don't. What we had in our time, if you were selling drugs, was someone who may seek to mentor you as you're going along. Now, predators recruit young men, and it's based on fear. They seek to swallow your soul and have you as a slave out there earning for them.
Yes, yes.
So we are offering an alternative by number one, giving you the entrepreneurial skills, but tied in with that, you're going to have conflict resolution, which adds to negotiation skills, interpersonal skills, because you can't go into a meeting, people don't talk like that, and you don't really talk like that.
Yeah.
It's an impersonation to fit in. So once your intellectual capital is widened, you don't feel the need so much to fit in.
Yes.
Because you know that self-interest is the most important thing you can have. So this is an entire toolbox to sharpen the pencils of young men specifically. Now, I would not speak on some of the delivery partners' histories, but they are well qualified
As well.
to deliver this program. They contribute a lot. So then you have people who come from an academic aspect and they're contributors. But these men, especially, are entrepreneurs who are successful within their own right.
The bit there that talks about we are now forced to look at what the attractions are for young men when they are seduced by the road. What is the draw that is not provided by conventional society, i.e. the home, if anything? Because I also put up something because, like yourself, in a certain way, I'm not street. Right? And I recognize that. And I recognize that if I go up there dressed in street, they'll recognize and say, you're not street. Just be yourself, you know? But the key question is this. What is the key factor which is attracting young men to the street, the excitement of the streets?
Well, the first thing is you're dejected by the so-called educational system. At 9 years old, I was purchasing with my money the loot and exchange a mark.
Oh, that's the magazine there.
The magazines at 9 years old, younger than my son. And I drew and I was very creative. I just wanted to do something in business. Now, by the time I got to secondary school, I was told that's not realistic, that's not for you. Then teachers focus on you in a particular way, especially our boys. Now, they learn this through teacher training that black boys are a particular problem. Now, if you are a European woman who is taught, by and large, we are taught by European women. So you're taught that black boys are a problem in your training. How do you think that is going to manifest in teaching of black boys? See, immediately you see any behavior, I could be in class, Ross! Now you think I'm aggressive.
Yes.
So well, this expression is just like your young man saying, damn.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
Or damn, yeah.
Don't get excited.
Yes.
However, we don't get that. So we find ourselves in a position where there's very little empathy for us. A lot of that has come from teacher training, which we understand to be institutionally racist.
Yes.
So if we are sending our children to institutions which we know are institutionally racist and not within our interests, to a large degree we're betraying our children, aren't we? Which means that as a community we have zero criteria for taking our children, our most precious assets and our future, for what inculcates their minds. Now, once they've been dejected in school, you will always look for an alternative. Because if I was in a dance and slim pretty girl keep telling me no, I go and look for chubby girl with less confidence. I go and find it. So when you see young men on the road, just like in Facebook, people will portray the best case scenario.
Yes.
You don't have an understanding of the nuances of their life or the career path that they've chosen. That they wear tracksuit bottoms under jeans because it's freezing cold to sell drugs. That they got a small poke last week, but because the guy had a magazine in his pocket, it saved his life because the magazine took the brunt of the knife.
Yes.
They don't tell you all of that. They tell you about the parties, they tell you about how ladies will please them. They tell you about all of the good stuff. It's called marketing.
Yes.
I'm not about marketing myself. So you have an illusion and a romance for something which isn't reality.
Right.
Just like a multi-level marketing company which you may have joined, where there's no particular future, where your commission is nominal, but you're out there with such an energy and a gusto.
So you can
do it. You can do it.
I'm a millionaire. Fake it before you make it.
So now, when you look at the head of the multi-level marketing company, oh, that guy from A to Z, from the articulation to the car, the suit, the watch, the whole thing, trappings of success.
Yes.
Well, know something about the trappings of success on the road when you're looking at a young man wearing a £1,000 Balenciaga trainer. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
When you work in McDonald's and you drop a fries, you may burn your hand. When you drop the ball on the road, it may be because somebody wants to rob you for your narcotics or your money.
Yeah.
They may be armed with knives. They may be armed with guns. On the other side of that beautiful case scenario, the police are also looking for you.
Yeah.
And in an era where there is no loyalty, you could be sitting down with a man who you believe to be your best friend with no spiritual understanding of characters, where I saw in the late 90s so many friends set up and murdered or shot by their friends who they partied with, checked girls together, went to school, grew up with, and sold drugs with.
Yes.
So they could steal their watch, their money. How you're going to steal the car, nobody knows, because there's only a process you have to go through, which is quite formal. So these things happen, and I've seen them go down in front of my face.
So tell me, with the road CEO now, road CEO,
Yes.
what is the key deliverables one is seeking to achieve, especially with the young people? Because in breaking it down, as a couple of persons have been asking, how does it translate down to that young man there now who is actually about to start, know that he needs to make the money? How do we hijack that process?
Yes. So where would I get, if I was seeking information now, where do I get it as a young man? I go to YouTube, right? But what do I have to do in that great university? I got to eat chicken and spit out the bones because there's so much information, right?
Yes.
So part of the deliverables is an open university style video resource that will contain hundreds of hours of video with business experts. So I'm not just talking on marketing, personnel management, owning a business, setting up a company, deal structuring, and those kind of formals.
Yes.
But also talking about conflict resolution.
Yes.
Which is very important because conflict resolution will add to your negotiation skills. You see, when you can be very cute when you get in a room and you can bring everybody around to your position.
Yes.
These are all transferable skills. Now, the deliverables are different from the outcomes that we design.
Yes.
So there is also an NVQ element which is attached to that, where we'll have the assessment centers. So what we've been recruiting are the trainers who will train the trainers, because we're starting this as a London-wide program. And then the aim is to make it a national program. So the infrastructure is quite robust with the number of partners. So you've got around 15 partners that go across all elements, which is writing and designing the business training, which are personable people to deliver the video elements that can capture the imagination. Because this is another thing about school. You may not capture the attention of a young man. Now, if I go to a club and I pay my money, I'm allowed to heckle you because I pay for the privilege, right?
Yeah.
But in a class, if I do that, I find myself outside the door.
Yes.
Fine. Now, I worked in schools doing emotional literacy with Lorette Hudson in one hand, Carl Clapp, and a friend at the time, Carl Ramsey, delivering this in schools. I was in Gladesmore. I used to do the Tottenham Boys Sports Academy, which is where they run up and down basic English and maths. Yes. But then they would give them the mentors as well, the youth offenders and the young people's homeless units.
Yes.
Now, off the back of that, you come to know these young men very well. Now, they're very quick with their mouth.
Yes.
You don't have the skill to throw yourself outside of Mr. OKAI's class. Because I've got some quick stuff for you. So once you realise that, I'm not going to gauge my ego. I'm going to say something cute. Then their peers came in.
Yes.
Then I made it a safe environment. Stop. And I gained your respect.
Yes. Yes.
The ilk of men involved in this project are very engaging. Don't take for granted the power of an engaging man to a young man who is highly experienced and saying what makes sense. Because the beauty of young people is to have self-preservation. You see, when we get to it, please go ahead.
That's powerful what you said about self-preservation. And it is when someone said to me recently, I'm trying to secure the future for the children. And I said, you got to remember at the same time, the future that you're trying to secure for yourself is different from this future of these children, because they're on a different level, in a different plane.
And they're faster.
They're faster. Yeah.
Which is why you don't limit the tools, this toolbox, which is the video delivery. So with hundreds of compartmentalized areas that very clearly fit into management, interpersonal skills, negotiating, tools that you would utilize, which is where we're desiring to get corporate sponsorship from. So if you have products that you use, be they digital in nature, why wouldn't we seek to acquire sponsorship from those corporate products, which we're teaching these young men to utilize, which is going to make their time more expedient.
Someone is saying something about PRU, about put a plug on PRU. What's your views on that?
Are we talking about PRUs that are in the schools?
That must be Bianca is staying there. We need an alternative to PRU there.
Yeah, of course we do. Right. So there's a new initiative that the police are creating now, which is called the diversion scheme. We're seeking to fit into that diversion scheme. What the diversion scheme is when a young man is arrested, he will be referred to an organization. The reason I wanted the structure and the partners to be so robust is so that we can capture a contract like that and become the usual suspects. So within the school system, we'd want 25% of the money raised to go into prevention. Now, prevention is what? It's not 12 plus, it's 6 up. So that is Manhood Academy, that is WYLA in Willesden, that is Ultra Kids, that is ICANN, and you can keep naming them, School of Excellence, Super U Academy, Paul Mackenzie. That's prevention. So it has to be, they're there. I know all of these guys. So you have a program where 25% of the money that is raised is bussed out equally between those parties.
Yes.
Now, that is prevention. However, the road CEO part means that those organizations have a deliverable, which may be assemblies, in mainstream schools. So there's a reason. You said something to me about the parties will come to us.
Yes.
There's a reason I would speak with police. There's a reason I would speak with the mayor's office. Because once they put their endorsement on it, they're going to tell schools, this is going to happen.
Yes.
These men are coming into your school to give an assembly. What is it? It's the road CEO, which is offering an entry point. The whole school will get to see, but it's specifically aimed at our young men, which is entrepreneurial skills. Now, that resource, which is the road CEO with the video, you can watch. So there is a delivery in schools, which will be primary and secondary schools.
Yes.
But they will have sustainability for their programs, which is economic sustainability, doing the supplementary education that they do on Saturdays currently. But what we desire to have is no struggle and a full budget for their annual. So this is why we connect the dots.
And that is very powerful, because what you're talking about there is you're zeroing on the young men who are actually somewhat brilliant, but somewhat in the eyes of the system wayward. But we're actually possibly wayward. But what we're trying to do is actually fuel that energy into something positive from an economic level as well.
Absolutely.
Now,
and sorry, not to cut you. A lot of people say to me, "You're trying to run before you can walk." Now,
I don't like those sayings.
I don't engage with this, because this is the man who will tell me we can't put satellite in the sky, and there's no place for
Don't put your hat where you can't reach it.
So my point is that as a very sharp young man, given the tool set, I would have wasted less time in North Peckham Estate. I would have wasted less time in New Cross Gate between two sets of friends. So knowing that's the case, why would we not, as grown men, put those toolkits together for young men to create the bridge for a transition from where they are to exactly where they need to be? Now, even older men and family members will learn from that resource, because outside of those core skill sets, you'll be sitting down with guys like Harold Bregner. He will be telling you about how to get a mortgage as a mortgage broker. So now you get a complete insight into that. You will be sitting down with a business bank manager who will teach you how to create a AAA credit rating. Take this credit card, spend £100 on your groceries or £25 a week, pay the whole cake, the £100 at the end of the month. Continue to do that, live off the card until you build it up. Before you know it, you have a £5,000 credit limit, and you'll learn to start a business, possibly with your credit card, have an income from your business, maintain a AAA credit rating. So all of these professionals are coming to contribute to this toolbox, which is wide and vast and varied. So tell me how knowledge has ever kept anybody in arrested development. I double dare.
The person watching now, and the mother or the father who has a situation whereby they say, I've got his son who is actually, they are concerned and they want to actually arrest that, where is that now? Because sometimes I believe with children, one can look and say, I can look and see the point where they're going.
Absolutely.
They have recognized that now. How does road CEO can engage with that? How can someone now say, listen, Dean, I've got these issues now. What can be done now? Or you're waiting for some other factors to happen?
Do you know the usual time that happens? When there's a void. There's no such thing as a river without banks. But when part of those banks along the journey break down, the river will spill out. We provide the banks. Now, especially in the case of young men, they seek to be engaged. Look, I'm a grown man. I'm going to be totally honest with you. If you are not engaging, I said, well, okay. Charlie. I'm not that charitable. Now play around. So what the hell do you think a young man is going to do? You think he's going to sit there with you? You're not saying nothing. That is more attractive. That is going to give me income. You don't have a clue yourself because you cannot demonstrate any of this. You're actually the teacher who's telling me about my limitations is going on strike next week because they don't earn enough money.
Exactly.
You're joking. You can't engage me.
Yes.
You don't know me. Yes. You have no solutions for yourself. You actually live with roommates. And you are telling me what my limitations are. If I were you, I go on the YouTube of university and sharpen my pencil.
Yes.
When you engage them, and these are personable guys as well,
yes.
and the women, highly experienced, highly personable, highly engaging. Do you know what you do? Do you know all you have to do with anybody? Just capture their imagination.
You know, I was actually the other day driving, and it was in the night, and there were some young guys drive up next to me, and they were laughing, and I said, you guys, are you guys in Jamaica? Like, you going to the beach or something like that? Are you going to the beach? And I was to laugh, and somebody said to me, it's so funny how you engage. You could have gone a different way.
Absolutely.
You know?
But your spirit also smelt then.
Yeah. And I believe one of the key things, especially with young men these days, as you rightly said, the word is engaging with them. And the same way you engage how you are, maybe it's different, but you've got to engage with them and find that common denominator.
But I'm going to say something else.
Yeah.
There's a reason it didn't go another way for you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because you respect yourself. And what's the difference between a man who respects himself and engages and a man who doesn't respect himself when he engages? See, a man who respects himself treats another man with respect. It's reciprocal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
See that man who doesn't respect himself, who feels the need to over-project for no reason. Yes. He goes another way.
Yes.
So once you have that command, those interpersonal skills, you see, you carry a particular weight.
Yes.
And they look at you. That's a good guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing about you that will be made a victim. Because you don't overproject. And you treat the young man with respect.
With respect.
Because there's no such thing as a river without banks.
Yes.
Water needs to be guided.
And
at some point in the banks, if there is a breakdown of clay or mud, the river will spill out. What is the role of the men within the village?
Right.
To put back the banks, the sandbags, contain the river, and keep it guided in a particular direction.
So Dean and ladies and gentlemen, what I'm picking up here, which is very profound, is the fact that this bank actually is the re-energize of the men.
Yes, but do not take for granted.
Yes.
Because there's something. Look, you tell a man something, it's wonderful. We have a jovial time.
Yes.
But you tell a lady something, it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
The sisters who are delivery partners.
Yes.
Are no joke.
They don't ramp, innit?
No, they don't ramp. They're very serious. So I'm quietly confident that we have the full package to acquire these contracts like the diversion scheme and attract these young men as referrals. But you see the men in the village being of a particular ilk and a particular skill set which is wide and varied.
Yes.
They pick up the sandbags and they fill the gaps within the banks so that the water travels in a singular direction, which is where we can benefit from the water.
There's a question there, and you read it, Dean.
Which one?
And you answer it.
Yes. If I'm a frightened mother, where do I go now? Who do I talk to today? God bless. Right, so if you write these down and do a Google search, Andrew Mohammed would be happy to speak with you at YLA, which is the Black Boys Leadership Academy in Willesden. If you speak to Manhood Academy, they would be happy to speak to you. And it is a very small network of guys. Everybody knows everybody, and you have 7 or 8 that operate in this area. Black Sox does amazing work behind the scenes. All of these guys know each other, and they are all there for you today. What I will do after the show is post a list of their addresses, phone numbers, so that you can get your children, and across the board, they're £10 for the Saturday for the couple of hours that your children would attend. And when I tell you that all of these places have a village of men
Yes.
who are there for your sons,
Yeah.
to guide them.
Right.
Now, raised by women alone, young men are privy to observe feminine behaviors. So they're not necessarily encumbered with what traditionally we would know as male responses to anger or conflict. So if in the house a woman is angry and quick to temper, this young man has learned this behavior, who has become quick to temper, fueled by testosterone, which is a highly dangerous combination. Now, this isn't every man, it's not a broadsheet, because there are young men who will develop out of that case scenario and become early husbands. He want to carry the bags for you, he want to open the doors for you because he sees that void. And he has made himself a man. But in that void where they do not make themselves that man, they are executing feminine behavior, fueled with masculinity, and it is a powder cake. Right. So when you see if you would tell your son, take down the man, easy. Now, if the I told you to clean your bedroom 17 times, and now the young man carry this thing. So watch out. He's carrying a kitchen knife. These young men are carrying 12-inch blades. And you have told me to go and have relations with my mother, who I love very much. I don't go and seek out the alphabet. I draw my blade and I open you up. However, we were friends. Now, I happened to see a European man in front of my shop, young man, I should say, who is friends with another young man who he walks with every single day of the week. Draw out a 12-inch knife on his friend, swinging it in the air, stabbing the pub door, because he's pushing the pub door, which is right opposite my shop. And there's a woman in there who cannot contain herself. She'd already phoned the police. Friends, what got you to that emotional state where you felt confident? Now, these are black boys. To draw out a 12-inch knife and lunge it at your friend. A definite lack of self-respect. A definite lack of being able to manage yourself. No conflict resolution skills. And you see the bravado. Because if he'd really wanted to stab him, he would have stabbed him. That was for bravado, as a demonstration for everybody else on the street to see. He's on CCTV. Now you're going to get a custodial sentence from that. There's no going back. This is the focus right now, knife crime. What did you gain? So was there any thought process there?
Well, Dean, that's powerful. I just want to respond back to the person who talked about where his son. Dean is going to post
all of the resources.
resources
and there are many. They're in South London, they're in West London, they're in East London, they're in every part of London, and they're specifically for your sons.
Now, for other persons then who want to, or some men listening and want to get involved in part of these whole mentorship process or whatever, that is an area which is open also for men to take.
Absolutely, definitely.
They can always tap into those same organizations as well.
So Courtney Brown from Father to Father is an ethical leadership trainer, who came up under Viva Moon of Black Sox, who is an ethical leadership trainer. So when I talk about a very small community, that cabal is very powerful. So the reason I will bring in all the elements is so that as soon as they ask those questions, this is where I would send you. And very quickly through their aptitude test, you would see whether this gentleman was the kind of guy who could work with young people or not. But we have the resources and we have the personnel to train.
Now tell us now, and wrapping up very shortly. Now, with the road CEO, you have some caliber, as you said, of young men there. And there's something else you mentioned about gangs. Is that something you
No, that's not right. So this isn't gangs. Gang is an acronym for guiding a new generation. Which is G-Circle. So there's a young man respect, there's a movement, 3 guys I could call on straight away, which is Rap Raven, who attended the live cast that we had on Thursday. Raspek and Jeddah, who hold G Circle.
Yes.
Another brother in the field, Ashley Flash, Marcus Garvey's greatest fan,
Okay.
is another brother that I will call on in the field, who is a peer, who is my peer.
Yes.
And we have conversations because it's Old Men for Council and Young Men for War. So what their role is gang unification.
Yes, yes.
To eliminate the postcode wars, where they have meetings and they actually have created their own media platform through, let me shout out, Content Over Everything, who have 9,000 subscribers on YouTube. You drop the video tomorrow and it's going to have 5,000 views. So they have the reach. So it doesn't make sense me sitting here with my ego talking about creating things that already exist and are far superior to what I may achieve in a year. It's about having a Lego base and plugging in all of the elements exactly where they fit in. That's what project management is, to give you the best outcome. So gang is guiding the new generation. Why would I go and create any other tagline for the road CEO when they have a perfect one, when they have the eyeballs of our delivery outputs? They are there. So I will also consult with them to enable their processes in any way that I can. They're my colleagues, they're my brothers. So we just tie it all together. So from training, from those who have the command and the eyes of young men on the road, to those who are behind the scenes creating the educational curriculum for these young guys, and a huge community of highly engaging professionals who are going to give them all of the solutions and educational criteria that they need in their video solution.
And therefore, ultimately, Andy, what we're looking at...
And they're called G Circle, incidentally, which is gang. Guiding the new generation.
Guiding the new generation, Those are the guys you're with in Hyde Park.
Yes.
So where we're going with this now, and I say we because we're all a part of it now.
Absolutely. we are forming a community that previously didn't exist. So let's not kid ourselves. Because we use it. They're just separate neighborhoods, which is why we can't stand each other.
And that's why I mentioned about the postcode bit there.
Absolutely.
Speaking about postcode wars for some time seems to have catapulted to the fact that we've lost control for young men. But there's a reason.
You see, take for granted. I told you I carried a knife. Young men have been stabbing young men for many years. The media get hold of a term and something becomes polarized. Now, does polarization grow what's happening in society, or does it reduce what's happening in society? Grows it, right? So then young men feel the need to live up to particular things, and it's been polarized. So the role of us, who have the interests of our community at heart, is to come together to solidify that community, like this strong community of men and women that I'm talking about, so that we get behind singular vehicles. You see, because we've all been working in isolation for many a decade, which is another reason that it has never been done. But as we now start to come behind singular vehicles, because Road CEO isn't an organization, it's an initiative that plugs existing powerful and successful organizations into delivery. So now all of those with experience are quite welcome even to come on now as partners. We desire to grow this out. Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, Leicester, Leeds, wherever we are, we need delivery partners. We have a criteria for training the particular delivery partners, which we will do through Courtney and Father to Father. And then we have a specific training criteria that we created for that as well. But the trainers that come out of that in and of themselves will be very powerful. They already, I'm sure, have a huge community standing. And merely given that guidance, then they're weaponized, aren't they? They're missiles who are targeted. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, I think we could go on forever, as much as possible, but this is powerful. Dean, what would you say is your last word? I've got my last word, but what would you say is your last word in regards to the engagement, the whole post office solution room, the road CEO? I believe you're taking it to some government level soon.
Which is for the economics.
For the economics as well.
Because we need the resources. You see, there's one of two things you can do. You can incarcerate these young men, or you can refer these young men for us to give an education which will last them the rest of their lives. Now, Malcolm X was incarcerated. Whilst he was incarcerated, he received an education that enabled him to create 26 mosques within a couple of years when there were 2 or 3 to grow the distribution of the final corn. So why would I seek for this young man to have a custody if we could take him into a community of men and enable him to be as powerful, even as a minor CEO, you're a CEO.
Yes.
You know what they call the guy who qualifies last in a class of doctors? Doctor.
That's powerful. When it says old men for counsel, young men for war.
Absolutely.
Our young men have value and we're obligated to guide them and to provide a roadmap.
Absolutely.
And
we have it.
Yeah, and they say upon the river, upon the bank, we have to build up the bank.
Absolutely.
And therefore that means that fathers play a very fundamental key role, notwithstanding the fact that mothers don't play a role because they are the ones who actually make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ladies are the ones who make things happen, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So
on a daily basis.
On a daily basis. So men have to step up to the plate as much as possible. Dean, what's your last word?
My last word is that our sons have value because I'm a father.
Yeah.
So the same way, I feel no way to tell you that I went into the toilet and cried when this man told me that his son was buried on his 21st birthday. I knew he'd died because the word goes around the community straight away.
Yeah.
And I think about that being my son. Now, my son is 11 years old.
Yeah.
I homeschool him. I teach him business skills. I'm making a great investment in my son.
Yeah.
However, if we don't make that investment in somebody else's son, that young man could come and steal my son's life in a heartbeat with no empathy.
Yes.
And I will be responsible for that because I said, I'm all right, Jack.
Yes.
So you don't matter.
Yes.
But I can't.
So on the Facebook Live right over there, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming. And Dean, of course, what we'll do, we will be putting information.
All of the resources.
All of the resources.
Please.
Yeah.
And I'd love for the brothers to jump in and start engaging with the sisters.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to Davis from Manhood Academy. I would love for David Mullins to jump in and give advice about to young men. I would love for Courtney Brown to jump in. I would love for Viv, another gentleman who has been doing this for millennia before me, who knows every single player, who's also mentored the vast majority of the players within that community, to jump in and speak to the sisters' concerns. So it'd be wonderful if we could just carry that on as a conversation, because it is about solutions. And these men that I've named have them. And if Paul McKenzie, our brother, could also jump in and talk about Super U Academy and the fact that it's there, and just alleviate some of the sisters' concerns who have been left with not a burden but the challenge of young men who lack a particular direction.
And I think, Dean, that we have that responsibility as men, you know,
Absolutely.
black men as much as possible. We are actually changing the narrative, not by word but by deed.
By deed,
Because it's easy to say we will, I will do, but deed speaks. That's why sometimes I don't have the time and bother with something foofy conversation sometimes in the start. You know what I'm saying? I just make things happen. Because listen,
it doesn't take much.
Listen, I break it down easily. The reason why we're even sitting here is because about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I conceived the idea. Said, listen, I just do my own talk show, man. Because everybody keep talking about BBC is not having us enough. No. ITV is not diverse. And I said, for Pete's sake,
we are democratized by technology.
Yeah, why are we waiting? Why are we waiting to make things happen? Just make it happen right here now. We won't even tell them what we have done today to make this happen, but it's very simple concept. All you got to do is have a road CEO mentality.
Absolutely.
Well, Dean, listen.
Pleasure.
Well, I think we're going to eat some food after this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Now and there's a barber shop up there. We're just going to say hi to those guys up there. And a couple of takeaway restaurants as well. Dean is in my zone in Catford here. We're at this lovely beauty parlor, Style Essence. You know, that's why Dean looking so sharp, because he's been pampered a while ago. And so we want to thank Desiree from Style Essence in Catford. We're going to put the details up there where you can actually come in and actually do your makeover for ladies as much as possible. I got to give her the plug, Style Essence. Maybe do a little video of it as much as possible. So I want to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. Those on YouTube, And those on Facebook, thank you so much. And you can watch it on the replay. I'll actually be putting this up on YouTube again. But there's a live stream on YouTube, which I said, let's just do it. Dean, we can just do anything we want, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. And thanks for Dean for coming down as much as possible.
You're welcome.
Right, Dean?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Peace and out.